Hello, pursuers. Welcome to another episode of the Pursuit of Happiness podcast. I am your lovely podcast host, known as Kazimi. Let's get into some Southern Charm because it's been a while since we've done any recaps on that show. So we're going to get into episodes, I believe it's 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I'm not going to be too specific and go through you guys watched it. I'm just going to go through some main highlights. But one thing I do want to chat about before we start talking about Southern Charm is, obviously I just want to give it a heads up. I'm going to structure how I do my recaps separately, differently, sorry. Still going to do recaps, but I'm just going to kind of go over key points that I think are very, kind of key to that episode. Things that are kind of controversial that we should just I feel like it's kind of boggling on my brain. I'm probably going to start with this recap right now just to kind of see how it's going to feel structuring, and then I can feel I can get more episodes in because I watch the episodes anyways, but sometimes I get overwhelmed with having to take notes for everything. But I feel like if there's just key points, then oh my god, that was so weird. I need to kind of discuss that. But before I get into that as well, I wanted to just chat about, I've been starting to watch Ladies of London, and I never watched the original one that had Caroline Stanbury in it. There was another episode, there was another show called The Ladies of London, and it had, the Housewives of London, which just started. I think that's how I started doing my, at the beginning of my podcast, the first few episodes had some recaps of the Housewives of London. And I think I've said that they're the Housewives of Cheshire as well, the Real Housewives of Cheshire. The difference is Cheshire is not production with Bravo, whereas the Real Housewives of London is under the Bravo umbrella. Originally, I'm from Vancouver, and one of the ladies, Mary Zilba, was just on another podcast, and she was, because now the Housewives of Vancouver is on Peacock, I guess, and Hulu or whatnot. It's even on Amazon Prime. That's how I watch my shows, on Amazon Prime, and it's re-airing. And so one of the ladies from the Real Housewives of Vancouver was on, and she said that it's interesting because back then Vancouver wasn't under the Bravo umbrella. It was just a Real Housewives franchise that was made from a completely different production company, and Bravo wasn't there. But then now they've contacted her again, seeing if she wants to reboot and come to the reboot, which will be now under the Bravo umbrella. So it's interesting how that works. I digress. Back to the Ladies of London. I know that the original Ladies of London had Caroline Stanbury on it, and one of the ladies from the new Real Housewives of London, and that was Juliet. Caroline Stanbury had mentioned that. I didn't know Juliet was on it because that's the thing, I didn't watch it. But this time this came on, and I like to give all shows a chance. One show that I'm not going to be recapping is Southern Hospitality. I just could not get into it. I might try again soon, but I just could not for the life of me get into it. I don't know, it just wasn't interesting, I feel like maybe with Vanderpump Rules I was able to get into it a little bit more because there's a history with that show. We knew the old cast, and it's the same place, and I've been to SUR many times, so how it's there's a feel for it already. Whereas some of the new shows, I just I can't get into Married to Medicine. I started watching Love and Hip Hop. That's really cool. Pretty straightforward on Love and Hip Hop, But anyways, again, I digress. Ladies of London, it's so good. I don't know all the characters quite yet, but what I can tell you if you watch it is already on the second episode, one of the girls quit on camera. She was the only Asian one that was on that show. Her name is Dara. She was really pretty. I thought that she was kind of cool, oh, this is gonna be fun. She's coming onto the show. What had happened is in episode 1, she wasn't really on it. They introduced her, but she wasn't on it. She just wasn't able to be there. And she has a really good friend on there that's part of the cast as well. Her name is Micah, and Micah is going to be permanently part of the cast, I can tell. But her and this Micah girl they're the Americans that are on the show. They speak, their English is not British English. And so they met each other when they were at the University of Florida. So they've known each other for 20 plus years. But then at the very beginning, in the episode 1, so this is okay, and FYI, I'm totally digressing here. That's my ADHD. All these things I have to say. This is how I'm going to kind of structure moving forward how I want to talk, just the main points, we call it like this. But anyways, back to Ladies of London. So first episode, there's a party. It's kind of introducing you to the cast, as we know, that's how it is on Bravo shows. They kind of want to introduce everyone, so why not a big mingle? And so the ladies start coming, but because Dara, in Farsi we call it, in Persian we say Dara, but so if I go between Dara and Dara, my apologies. But yeah, with Dara there, because her friend Micah's there, her best friend that she's known from university. They start going up to her. They're like, oh, I heard a rumor that she's a madame. And as we all know what a madame is, it's someone that is like the kind of like the pimp of escorts, but in like a much more classy way. Like, she's not slapping you with baby powder on your cheek and like demanding all your money and giving you nothing, and you don't look like a crackhead. Like, it's more like, she knows expensive people that want expensive things, and she finds the proper girl to kind of do it. Now, I'm not saying that Dara was. I'm just saying allegedly this is what the other cast members are telling her best friend Micah on the first episode at this party that they all attended. And Micah, being the good friend that she is from what we've seen, which has only been 2 episodes, she was like, that's impossible. Once you meet her, you know that that's not it. If you look at Dara, like, she's like hot Asian, like, you're like, it could be true. Like, she's gorgeous, but the scenes that she's been in so far, they showed her kind of like mingling with like people. They're like, she's doing business stuff and she's in an office and she has assistants and she has staff. So maybe it's a side gig. Maybe it's just that this is all allegedly. Like, maybe she does know girls and guys are like, hey, and so she goes to the girls, hey, like, if you want to make money, there's an opportunity here, I don't think that's really pimping anybody out. I mean, everyone's consenting, and she doesn't like, it's not like a job for her, it's just apparently her little shtick is that she can connect people, which I find that I connect people very well as well, especially friendships. I can connect people and be good friends, and then they always exclude me out of the friendships, but that's besides the point. So then it comes to episode 2, and because she wasn't really present in episode 1, Dara kind of hosts a dinner party at a restaurant, Asian restaurant, because she's Asian. So she wants to meet like the entire cast, and I think she knows some of the people, and she knows other like, she knows Micah for like 20 plus years, and then she knows some of the other cast via other kind of socialites, but then some of them she had never met at all. So when they were there, one of the girls who's like from Sweden, who is gorgeous, she's a model, she looked at her, she's like, you, in front of everybody, she's like, you put me in a really awkward position. You were talking about Micah, you said all this kind of stuff. You said that she's cringe, blah, blah, blah. Dara gets up and walks away, and you see her going in production. She's like, I'm not meant for this. Yes, I said that, but like, because I was done filming, blah, blah. But then like in front of it was like literally like a table of like 20 people. She was like denying it. She was telling Micah, I never said that. I swear to God, I never said that. Then when they talked to Micah in the confessional, Micah's like, you know what, I kind of believe it, because cringe is one of Dara's words. Like, the Swedish model, like, that has an accent, like a Swedish accent, like, she wouldn't know what, look, she wouldn't know what cringe means. That's such an American, like, like new generation word, right? So she was like, I do kind of believe it. And like, she wasn't forgot the girl's name that was there, but she wasn't the only one that was there. The Swedish girl, there was another girl named Lottie that's there, and she has this husband that looks like he could be like Beetlejuice, but without all the makeup on the face. But anyways, she was pregnant, and she and that other Swedish model were the ones that were with Dara, so she heard it. So I'm kind of surprised that she didn't jump in to kind of say, yeah, you did say it, because it made that kind of Swedish model look like she was the worst. But the funny part is, no one really defended Dara except these 2 Asian girls that were there with her. And when they were asked, how'd you meet her, she was like, I'm on the internet. So that made people kind of believe the Madame story even more. And again, this is all allegedly, and this is not saying that Dara doesn't already have her own business. That's like what she's managing mostly, but it could be just a side gig, allegedly, But it was just so interesting, because everyone's like, okay, leave, we don't want you here. Because when she came back, she sat at the table, then she told the girl, she's like, I don't think this is made for me. I don't want to film. I don't want to do this kind of stuff. I'm out. And I'm thinking, like, what did you think it was about? When you were at that lunch with Lottie and that other Swedish model, like, there was cameras there. They showed clips of it. So you're filming and you're saying all these things, but then you didn't think that it was going to get back to your friend? I'm just so confused. Like, has she not watched The Housewives? She's American. She must have heard of all these reality shows. I don't think nowadays, except if it's a gaming reality show, there's never a reality show that's just like no drama. Like, they all have some sort of drama, Because if it's not scripted drama, like where the producers give you a script and they're like, this is the drama that's happening with the script and these 2 characters. I mean, I think the audience, unless it was like 25 years ago, beginnings of Real Housewives of Orange County, the audience kind of will get bored with just seeing what they do in their life. And then if that's the case, if you didn't want to get involved in this drama, again, why would you go to lunch with Lottie and that Swedish model and then talk shit about your best friend that you've known for 25 plus years, who's the person that you're closest to with all these people? you know? So, yeah, she quit right on the spot. And I'm just so excited to see episode 3 come out because I thought that it was, quite interesting. So, yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance to watch it, definitely watch it. It's so good. Let's get into Southern Charm. So, episode 11 kind of has them finishing off at, like, Whitner and his parents had set up the dinner for everyone at his kind of ranch type thing. And Whitner, I love when Whitner warns his parents, like, if there's fighting, just let it roll out, This is when Austen had also told his car full of people that he's single. He just doesn't want like anyone to know that he's still single, which I'm just kind of surprised about. Austen clarifies what Salley was telling Charlie about Craig. Even though he's not on the best terms with Craig, Craig didn't say anything about Salley in a bad way. He just voiced concern that the last thing he would want is Charlie to let down her guard and for him to realize that he's not in a position to be in something serious. And I think that that's so different than what Salley had said, because Salley had told Charlie that she heard that Craig was saying things like, I don't want her to fall in love with me, blah, blah. But see how the words are twisted? And it was Shep that told Salley. So I feel like if there's anybody that needs to be shat on, it's like, Shep, why are you going and repeating the conversation that's like a bro's conversation to like the best friend of the girl? Like, obviously she's gonna kind of, even, yeah, whether it's malicious or not, it's a girl that's the best friends with the girl, with Charlie. So you're telling Salley who's best friends with Charlie. You're also telling Salley who's kind of got a vendetta against Craig right now. So I don't get why Shep would do that, Shep wants to give Austen advice about his being indecisive with Audrey, but I don't think he knows that, they've broken up, right? Charlie's the one that tells Craig that Austen's going through a breakup, and Craig's like, I don't want to get involved. Like, I'm going to wait until Austen tells me, The part that gets interesting is Charlie confides in Craig and says, listen, Sally's kind of upset with me that I'm not telling her things about us. Rightfully so. Like, Salley makes it really awkward, But she says that I'm not telling Salley anything, and Sally's kind of getting a bit, like, aggressive with how she's speaking about Craig to Charlie. And I'm thinking, like, okay, Salley, if you want Charlie to open up to you, this is not the way. Bashing the guy that she's into. Like, I don't know what Salley thought in that moment. Like, because didn't Venita try that with Salley, with Craig? And Venita's like, no, Venita. And she walked out of the restaurant. She's like, you have to let me do it on my own. But then it's okay for her to do it to Charlie, and she expects Charlie to just drop everything. Like, yeah, fuck Craig. What, he said that about me? Then fuck him. Like, it's just so kind of, like, immature. With that being said, I don't think it's really far off of Sally's character to be that way, because Salley does come from the restaurant industry. And there's so much drama in that industry because, like, what else, They need to kind of have some entertainment. And I don't know, that's just the culture of restaurants. They're partiers and they're kind of like shit talkers. And it's kind of like incestuous. Like, everyone goes through everybody, But I'm glad that Charlie still decided to keep the relationship separate from Salley. Like, Charlie can see that if Salley doesn't approve, then she doesn't want Charlie to approve. And that makes me, like, question Salley, like, who are you to have the final decision of who people date? I just don't understand that. Now, the next day, they all kind of go on separate trips. Or, like, some go fishing, some go canoeing and whatnot. And when they're finally fishing, I think that's when Austen tells Shep, okay, I've, broken up with Audrey and I just kind of want to follow my own heart. My heart really wasn't in it, and it's not fair. And Shep, respects that. But on the other hand, Venita and Salley sit down together, and Whit and Molly join the conversation. And Venita is, I think Venita at this point kind of took the situation a little too serious, because when confronted by Salley, she kind of got upset and she walked away because Salley had told her that I think that you were trying to pit me and Molly against each other because you told me that information and you knew that I would go kind of say it out loud, and then it got me in trouble. And I think that's a little bit too calculated for Venita. I think it's a bit too dramatic too. Like, I think Venita fucked up and she apologized for it. Even Molly, like, has forgiven her. Molly's like, yeah, I gave her a chance. I don't forgive her, but I don't forget, but I definitely forgave her. I don't think it's coming from a malicious place, even though we saw Molly and Salley in the earlier episodes, like, joking, and they were, like, at the massage place, and they're like, yeah, maybe it was Venita, but I think that's a little bit too calculated. Like, I think that, like, I'm not saying that people can't do stuff like that, but I think that's just a little bit too much for Venita to do. Like, I don't think Venita really wanted to be at odds with Salley. I think Venita, it came from a place of hurt that she kind of pushed Salley away a little bit when Salley was into Craig, because she was acting like Sally's acting to Charlie. Like, she wanted to be in control of this because she's like, it's gonna, and I get it, because it's like, if I don't like someone, but then my friend goes and wants to either date them or it's a girl or whatever, same sex, different sex, wants to hang out with them or date them or whatever the situation is, it makes me look like shit. It makes me look like, okay, in this relationship, they don't believe my grounds for not liking this person or to be in a conflict with this person. So it's showing the other person that what they did to me was okay. In that aspect, I understand. But also I understand the other aspect, and not to defend Salley, but like sometimes it's just like kids. Like, you can tell them so many times that don't touch it, the stove is hot, but some just need to experience it for themselves, you know? Would it be good for people to listen to everyone's advice? Of course, but then we'd have a bunch of perfect people walking around and no one making mistakes. Mistakes come from, you hear from other people's experience, and then you think, I can do this better, or this won't happen to me, I'm invincible, you know? Or, you know, you experience it because no one's told you anything and you don't know how that's going to go. And like, or some have this ego thing, and it probably is ego, or some would say confidence, that at the back of your mind, you're like, well, every person's experience things are unique, so let me try it out and see how unique it can be, you know? I hope people listen to things like, if people say don't drink and drive, you know, because that's bad for you. But even then, like something that serious, people don't listen. People are just drunk at that point and they just go experience it for themselves, and sometimes it becomes lethal and deadly. So that's why I'm saying, like, everyone does this. It's not just, oh, because it's Venita and I'm Salley, I'm going to do this and not listen to her. It's just that people really do have to experience it for themselves. And I think, again, back to Salley saying it to Charlie, like, get over it, Salley, like, let them kind of do their own thing, you know? I think the reason that Venita is so upset and whatnot is because her friendship to Salley really does mean something, and they've already kind of been divided because of the whole Craig situation. And you would think that after Salley kind of realizes or just sees Craig differently, not necessarily realizing what Salley sees, because her experience is different than what Salley experienced, but even just going through her own conflict with Craig, it would bring her back together with Venita. But instead, somehow it's kind of, now she's finding other things to be mad at Venita about. And I think that's because she's upset that Venita made boundaries. That's where I come from. And I'm going to defend Venita on that. And yes, it's because I don't like Salley. And now I don't like her even more because I'm seeing how she's doing it to Charlie. And it's like, so you want yourself to experience things and people, but when it comes to other people, you don't allow that same opportunity for them. That's kind of a hypocrite, you know? Okay, so then we get into episode 12. Madison has her baby. Venita calls to tell Austen, and Austen says it's interesting to see how Madison's life has played out. And it's really, it is really good, because here Austen is back at square one, and Madison is getting what she's always wanted. And it just goes to show, like, I think Madison knew what she wanted, and whether you call it manifestation or working towards her goals, she had a clear vision, just like a vision board. She had a clear vision in her mind of exactly what she wanted, and she went and she pursued it. And now she has it, and she's living her dream, you know? She's on a TV show, she's making money. She has successful salons out there that are making money. She's living with, her husband, and she has another baby, and, her other son is flourishing perfectly. So it's like, come on, you know? Austen's back again at square one, so Madison definitely dodged a bullet there. Molly is so disheveled and frantic. I find it hilarious. I think that it might have to do with her ADHD medication, because she goes to meet up with her friend for her to sing the song in front of kind of like her, like, I don't know what it was. Was it like what do they call it? Like no, not a concert. Like, anyway, there was a little hall, and she was playing her song that she had written with her friend, and it's like she doesn't even put her stuff down to like hug the person. And I hate when people do that. It's like you kind of greet them so warmly, and they just kind of just lean in. It's like, I would have been like, okay, oh my God, let me just put this down and I'll give you a proper hug. But also when I'm medicated, I'm a little bit more like stiff. I'm not as like, I'm much more like talkative and warm when I talk, but sometimes I'm also body-wise very together, like held together, if that makes sense. Anyways, that being said, Shep plans a Mexico trip. They're going to Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, and Puerto Vallarta gets very interesting. Salley thinks that Charlie's hiding something. Salley, she is. Get the fuck over it, okay? She is hiding something. She's not telling you jack shit. Because every single time we've seen Charlie approach Salley with something that's going on with her and Craig, and Sally's like, I just want to know because I'm your best friend. No, you don't. You want to criticize it and bash it because that's what we've seen every single time. I haven't seen Salley once. And even if you don't like it, just say nothing. You don't always have to give an opinion. But Salley always has to give an opinion. And you know, sometimes when you're excited about something and other people aren't, and I talk about this in my Dear Nas episodes where I'm answering questions, where I answer pursuer questions. Sometimes you have all these best friends and family and you think that you can rely on them for a lot, and sometimes you can. You can rely on them for everything from advice on relationships to friendships to career to vacation, home goals, everything, you know. But sometimes you can't because they can be really judgmental. Like, for example, and this is an example that I brought up in, again, my Dear Nas episode, Everything Connects, you know. Culturally, like with my brother, I don't tell him a lot about my friendships because when I talk to him about my friends, he likes to criticize them and kind of make me feel like they're not good enough to hang out with me. And I don't ever think that I'm better than people, you know? And I'm not saying that he does, but it's just always met with criticism when I'm just explaining to him a funny story or whatever. He ends up going, well, that person doesn't know, like, I don't even get why you would. It's like, that's not, I'm just telling you a funny story. It doesn't always have to turn into a criticism of the people, you know? I'm very capable enough of choosing my own friends, and some of them might not be career oriented, but when I'm around these people, I feel safe. And to me, that is a green flag for me, for friendships. It's someone that I can feel safe in. I love my friends to death. The ones that I have, I've carefully hand chosen them to be in my life because for me, these are the type of, yeah, they may not be entrepreneurial or they might not be really like driven in certain things that I am. But that's, if anyone knows me, nothing will ever kill my drive because I'm always going to do what I want. What I need around me are people that I feel safe around, people that are able to support me. And I've never had one of my really good friends. Every time I tell her something, even though like my ADHD takes me from here to here to here, and she has ADD, so she understands. She's always like, "Oh yeah, that's good because maybe you can do this." Like it's always greeted with support. She never criticizes me and says, "Oh, are you serious? Like again, Nas? You're thinking of something else again?" You know what I mean? So perhaps if it's an idea where my mind has changed quickly, she's more someone that I'm going to go to and lean on for support, you know, because my brother thinks that he's being realistic when I tell him like something about my career, and he's like, "Oh, again? Like, no, I don't think that you could do that," you know? He thinks that that's called being realistic and not bullshitting me. But again, Nas is going to do what Nas is going to do, and he's my younger brother, so if there's anything that he knows about me is that I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do, whether you like it or not. So either there's support and you can show me guidance. Like my friend never just says, "Oh my God, good job." She's always like, "Oh my God." And then she goes and researches things for me. I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but I'm saying this is why I lean into people like that, because they can provide that support that I don't find in other people, you know? So you just have to find the people that you, and a counselor had told me this as well. Again, I mentioned this in my Dear Nas episode where I answer questions. Like, a counselor told me that you can't always go to the same people for support for everything. Some people are good at business stuff. Some people are good at relationship stuff. Some people are good with like sports stuff, you know? And with that being said, I kind of took that. I'm like, that makes so much sense. So back to like what Salley does to Charlie. Like Charlie in this situation, if it's someone that perhaps her friends don't like, she's like a child. Not that she acts like a child. I'm just saying like a child. They're going to learn quite quickly that this is not the person that I go to. I don't feel safe in this situation, so I'm not going to tell this person anything because I'm met with criticism rather than support, you know? So yeah, it's just really interesting to kind of have those kind of life skills apply, you know? Salley thinking that Charlie is hiding something from her is comical. Like, you shit on Craig every chance that you get, and Charlie is like just trying to date him, but then she makes it so uncomfortable, Salley, you know? They're at the dinner table the first night in Puerto Vallarta, and Venita makes kind of a controversial statement. I think Venita kind of knew what she was doing when she made this, but again, she didn't use any names. Okay. And two things can go. Okay, let me just explain. Venita makes a statement that she wants Austen to stand up for himself, and Craig took it personally when she said that. Even though she never said stand up for yourself against Craig. She just said, I just want Austen to stand up for himself. Now, even though she didn't have to kind of name anybody, we all know kind of the context that she was referring to, especially like the eyes are on this friend group, is because whenever Austen is with Craig and Craig kind of slanders him and slams him, Austen kind of just walks away from it, like he doesn't want to deal with it. So in that sense, I can see how Craig would think, and rightfully so, that it's about him. But wouldn't it be so much better if Craig in that moment was like, I don't give a fuck what she says? Because he knows himself. If he's the one that thinks that Austen's the one that's always starting it and Austen creates this, why would he take a comment like that so personally? You know? Recently, my daughter had made a TikTok video, and she was talking about her new school. She didn't mention any names, but everyone in her class got offended that she made that video. Okay? Apparently, like, some kids found her TikTok, and they're going from older TikToks, and my daughter just started the school, but they were going to older TikToks, and they were commenting the boys' names. Oh, she's talking about this boy. My daughter was like, I just started this school, like, 2 weeks ago. I made this TikTok 5 months ago. Why would I be talking about a guy that I hadn't met 5 months ago, right? But her class got offended. And so this is a principle that I try to teach my daughter. I'm like, I know you didn't use names, but you have to understand where they're coming from. You're saying my class, so that's the only class that you're in. But my advice to those kids, if I were their parents and they were brave enough to tell me what was going on, because it seems like nowadays kids just don't tell their parents anything, they kind of hide things, I would be like, don't let it offend you, because do you think that you're that person that's doing that? Because just like when when we were on social media kind of was popping off and people make a post and then they're like, if you think this post is about you, then you're guilty. Exactly. Why? Sometimes people that I know make posts, and of course I don't hang out with them, so I know it's not about them. But sometimes when closer people make posts, I kind of question. I'm like, who are they talking about? But then again, I'm like, I'm so secure and confident in my decisions that I don't give a fuck even if it's about me. Like, make your kind of subliminal messaging on social media, which is so stupid anyways. Like, you can't even talk to the person, so you make subliminal messages. Do it. But I'm not going to get offended because I know myself, you know? I think that if Craig handled it that way, it would make him look less psychotic. But knowing Craig, he just popped off on Venita, and no one defended her and no one stood up to her. And that's kind of what I felt sad about. Like, Austen didn't even say it, even though she was kind of protecting Austen. Actually, the only person that stood up for Venita here was Salley. And I'm surprised because it took her a while to do it. But it's like, you hate Craig so much for Charlie, but you love Craig when he's shitting on Venita. But she did stand up for Venita, so cool. Okay? Let's give her a couple bonus points for that. Doesn't still make me like her, but okay. Venita and Molly head back to the suite because obviously, like, Venita just got cussed out and Molly just doesn't want to go party and drink. But everybody else goes out and party, and the next day they find out that Salley and Austen finally made out. And I feel so bad for Audrey. Imagine Audrey seeing this. And Audrey saw it the same time that we did, 2 weeks ago? And she's like, she was fighting with Austen about this girl that fucking inserted herself in her business. And now they're making out. Like, what a fucking slap in the face. Austen is such a piece of shit, you know? Like, I like Austen more than I like Craig, but I still think that Austen is the worst boyfriend, and he's such a piece of shit for doing something like that, okay? Again, another day of everyone going and doing their own thing. Shep, Whitner, Molly, and Charlie go surfing. Venita joins them, but she's just chilling on the beach. Austen, Craig, Whitney, Rodrigo, and surprise, surprise, Salley, they go ATVing. Now, Austen and Craig chat, and Austen says that he's made out with Salley because she followed him to the bathroom, and he respected her effort. I'm kind of like that, too. I love when someone kind of, like, really wants it. It's, like, so, like, it's arousing. Like, it really, like, arouses you when someone puts in that much effort and they're really, like, going out of their way to try. Like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I like that. Like, I want to reward that behavior, you know? So I get that. I find it attractive as well. And Craig says that he made out with Charlie, and this is where I don't like Austen. Again, he didn't stand up for Venita. He fucking makes out with Salley right after he breaks up with Audrey. And the third time's a charm. He asks specifically why Charlie doesn't want people to know, and then asks if she's told Salley. Like, why the fuck does it matter? Like, why is it public information when people make out? It's like Austen's just waiting to stir the pot. So Austen doesn't understand why Craig gets pissed, but then Austen does stuff like this because you bet your balls he went and he told Salley. And then he does stuff like this and he wonders why Austen or Craig freaks out at him. I thought they were rebuilding a relationship here because that's a pretty intimate conversation. Like, see, this is guys. They go and they don't want to talk about their own shit, but they go and talk about other people's shit, you know? First of all, okay, Austen, Charlie and Craig are seeing each other. Like, they've gone on dates. You just broke up with someone. You're not even seeing Salley. So why is it not a bigger issue that you made out with Salley directly after breaking up with Audrey, but then you go make it a big deal that Craig makes out with Charlie? And let me explain why Charlie doesn't tell anybody. It's because you guys make it uncomfortable for her. Now she's under the spotlight again for dating a guy and wanting to kiss him. Like, I never knew that was a big fucking deal. Now, the other side of this is, I understand. They're filming a TV show. A reality show, for that matter. So I get it. Like, is Austen trying to be like the fucking force multiplier here and like push the storyline along? Okay. And if he's not doing that, if it's not strategic and he's just a fucking douchebag for going and telling people other people's business, then yeah, Austen's a piece of shit for doing that. So now I found faults in Austen too. From the beginning, I never liked Craig and Austen. Then I started to like Craig, then I started to like Austen. Now I remember exactly why I don't like them. When they're completely like themselves, their true colors show, and this is why. Each of them, when they're with somebody in a relationship, they change, and it's like you like them more. They're more calm. They're kind of a little bit more logical. But when they're both single, they're both retards. And like I said, who the fuck is Salley? Like, why does Charlie have to tell Salley? Like, it's not her, like God, the only person Charlie should tell, and probably doesn't even have to because God can just see him for himself, is God, okay? Charlie doesn't have to tell fucking nobody, okay? Especially not fucking Salley of all people. Why does Charlie have to tell Salley or anyone anything? This is messy for Austen. And then Austen tells Salley the first chance he gets. And Sally's like, don't lie to me. Excuse me? Who cares? Like, why does it fucking matter that your girlfriend is... It's not a lie. It's not like you asked her, hey, did you make out with Craig? And she said, no. Are you saying that she's lying by omitting that she never made out with Craig? And by the way, who the fuck are you? Is it against the law for them to make out? Like, who the fuck is Salley? She's a fucking tramp. Like, who cares? Like, I could not handle her, okay? Team Charlie all the way on this, even though people think that she's vanilla. Then Austen tells Charlie, he tells her the first chance he gets. I don't get why it matters. These things are not to tell anybody. And then Salley makes it all about her. She says, Charlie, I'm happy for you. I'm so happy for you. But like, it's about you, Salley. You're the one that gets pissed off when it's something that's about her. Like, you want to make it about you. Like, this is what I don't understand about Salley. I don't get it. Salley starts telling Charlie that she feels like she's being lied to. I don't get how it's a lie when it's none of your fucking business. She just doesn't want to tell you anything. She has boundaries. And Charlie said that. She's like, yeah, I decided I don't want to tell you anything. I'm enjoying my presence with them and I like them. Here's where things get fucking sloppy, okay? They go out to drink at this bar. And Craig starts off by buying everybody tequila shots. He's constantly buying people shots. And I knew that it was going to get fucking nasty here. But you could just tell the way that he's walking around and kind of like stumbling, Craig. And if that's such a big ick to me. Like, I was just trying to look at him through Charlie's eyes. And like, towards the end of this night, when they're about to leave the bar, he's kind of standing there, but he's like, you know when they're trying to stand still, but they're like falling back and forth? And like, you can just look in his eyes. Like, he's trying to look at Charlie and pretend that he's like so sober, but like, he's not present, you know, and like that drunk look when like the eyes are there, but like the soul isn't, you know. It's like they're looking at a fourth wall, you know. That would have been the first ick. But then they get into the car, like to go home, because they all have their, you know, the kind of the sprinter cars. And there's two of them. And Austen ended up in the one that had, Craig ended up in the one that had Salley, Charlie, Rodrigo, and Austen. And everyone was wondering how come he didn't go with the other car that had Shep, Molly, Whitney, Venita. It would just make more sense being in the other one. But he didn't go. And this leads to a big explosion. He's already got pent up, again, not defending, but just saying, from what I observed, he's got this pent up kind of thing against Salley, that Sally's getting kind of involved in his relationship with Charlie. And Salley literally says one thing. Now all of a sudden, so Salley gets mad at Charlie for not telling her anything about about Craig, and she also shits on Craig, but then in the car she's like laughing, like, oh my god, Craig, you're so funny. Oh my god, Craig. Salley. Okay? But this triggered Craig, because, as I'm sure it would, because not only is he drunk, but you talk shit about my back, behind my back. You don't allow the girl that I'm seeing to be proud of the fact that she's seeing me, and she has to keep it a secret. And now you're sitting here fucking talking to me and pretending like we're fucking friends. Leave me the fuck alone. But it wasn't just leave me the fuck alone. Like, he went off, he went off on Salley. And so this is another thing that I always try to teach my daughter. It's like, sometimes you're in the right 1000%, but if you deliver it wrong, which I am so guilty of, I don't have it as bad. In fact, I've improved, I would say 60 to 70% about my delivery, but sometimes my delivery, I would even say more, 70 to 80%. But that 20%, sometimes when I'm angry, I can get a bit more sassy, more passive aggressive. Really, my tone completely changes. And I'm a very, I don't want to say expressive. That's good. Dramatic is like a negative connotation. I'm a very expressive person. I'm sure you guys can hear through my speaking as well. Like, if I'm in a good mood, or if I'm really kind of like wanting to communicate what I'm feeling, I can very enunciate it. I can get really deep and really good. But if it kind of turns, but then there's sometimes when I podcast and I'm kind of like not in the mood, or I've had a long day and I have to do it, to put out an episode, I think you can tell that I'm not as expressive, and I'm just kind of just going through it, you know how you can tell that? And that's just for me speaking via a podcast, and you guys don't necessarily know me personally. Craig delivered this so bad. So it doesn't even matter that Salley has been saying that, because first of all, he didn't communicate it properly. He's just like, leave me the fuck alone. You're always getting involved in my life. Leave me the fuck alone. So she's like, what the hell? All she can revert back to is, I didn't even do anything to deserve this. Because he's so drunk, he can't even explain, yes, you did. First of all, she didn't deserve it like that, but as much as I don't like her. But like, even a conversation, like, he couldn't even be like, yes, you always get involved between me and Charlie, to a fact that she can't even express to you what's going on between us. And you shit on her for that. Like, stay out of my business, please. It's not your business, it's mine. If you communicated a little bit better, sure. But, we love these shows because of this. Because someone's, like, going off on their rocker and they're unable to express themselves, So, everyone kind of... So that's what happens. And Craig kind of, the next day, was the last one to wake up. Everyone kind of woke up and did breakfast and went to the gym and did their thing. And then Craig's the last one to wake up, and he meets with Whitney. And Whitney kind of knew, because Whitney was on this trip, surprisingly. Whitney knew what happened. Whitney thinks that but Craig kind of needs to like scale it back and apologize to people, especially the people in his van, because not only was the outburst completely like, it was out of nowhere. I'm sure Salley deserved something, but that particular outburst was completely out of nowhere. Like, if anything, she still deserved a conversation about what had happened, and pinpoint exactly what it is that's pissing you off about her, so that she kind of can't rebut you and make it, oh, what the hell, because now it's turned back onto Craig. Okay, so although I can appreciate that he's pissed off and wants to fucking tell her off, wrong timing. But that's what you get when he's completely annihilated and he's in the car with her, and she's probably joking around with him after she's talked so much smack, Like, it was inevitable. It was going to happen. And to be honest, Charlie, like, if being at that restaurant before they left and got into the vans wasn't an ick enough, that was the biggest ick for her. And now, the next day, she's telling everybody, she's like, I'm completely romantically not attracted to Craig anymore. Rightfully so. He destroyed it for her. Okay? I wouldn't be either. Just seeing how he drinks that way, I wouldn't be either. I think Craig also realized, he's like, I drank too much and I want to scale it back. It's funny because, again, I think this is what pissed off Austen and even me and probably other viewers about Craig. It's like, when he's with somebody, he's like holier than thou. And then he was still shitting on Austen after he'd broken up with Paige, but saying like, I'm still better than you, Austen. But then he does something like this. So Charlie's kind of giving him the cold shoulder the whole day. But then they end up going to a, what are those things called? Like a, oh God, I forgot. It's like a hot tub. Okay, it was a sweat lodge. My bad. I know a lot about sweat lodges because I lived in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, in an area where there's a lot of Indigenous, and so they always have, it's part of their culture and their tradition, sweat lodges. So it makes sense that Indigenous Mexicans still have this kind of ritual as well, because Mexico, you can tell who's an indigenous Mexican by the way that they look, and also who has kind of immigrated and their parents have come from Spain and now they're living in Mexico. But yeah, it's definitely an indigenous thing, and it's kind of like it's kind of a test of will, so to speak, you know? Yeah, it's a really kind of, sorry, I kind of went silent there because I was just kind of remembering, but um, it's like a great way to detox or to kind of just cleanse or to start over, to really like get deep into your feels, because you really have to be emotionally strong and mentally strong to withhold all that sweat in that lodge. I think the only people that didn't go were Whitney. Surprise, surprise. I feel like he would die in there. He's so old compared to the people in there. And Molly. Okay, I'm so surprised. Molly's kind of boring this season. Like, maybe that's why I liked her at the beginning. Like, she was just kind of like boring. She doesn't drink. She doesn't get involved. Like, I don't know what her. I feel like she was only part of the show because she worked at Republic and she slept with like Whitney and Shep and like every other girl in fucking Charleston, you know, Charleston, South Carolina. But yeah, so the episode 14 ends there. So I'm excited to see how episode 15 kind of plays out, because I hope that Charlie confronts Craig. And to be honest, next episode, which is going to be episode 14, is their season finale. So that's kind of like how it ended. It's interesting. It's interesting to see the dynamics and how they've shifted. One thing I don't like about Southern Charm with the production is like, how come they this was filmed like almost, I want to say, 1.5 to 2 years ago, and then it came out just now. So I hope that they've started filming, but then probably not because of the reunion. But I hope that they start filming shortly after the reunion, and then they release it right away, because it's like, why is it like 3 years behind? It's not really fun for us. Like, we see, if someone really deep dived things that you see on the show right now, you could have seen that they posted almost a year to 1.5 years ago. So it's not really real time, you know? And I think like for the psyche and the mental health of even the cast, which I'm hoping the production company and Bravo and NBC kind of takes into consideration, they don't have to wait so long to bring it up and to regurgitate it. It just makes more sense to be a little bit more diligent with the timeline of how they release it, you know? But anyways, that's it for Southern Charm. I don't know how I feel about anybody. Team Whitner. I am. I'm Team Whitner. I loved him at the beginning. He's kind of like now, you know? I feel like he wants to be neutral all the time because he doesn't want to, or wants to be the voice of reason, which can kind of get boring. Well, I love anyone that's the voice of reason, but they have to kind of allow both sides to be. If you want to be the voice of reason and neutral, if you want to be a Switzerland, you have to defend both sides or say nothing at all to both sides. But sometimes I feel like he leans towards this or he leans towards right. Some can argue and be like, well, he just wants to do what's right. Okay, that's fine. But sometimes when it's constantly leaning towards one certain way, it's like that could be part of a bias, not really because he's actually trying to be right, you know? But that's his opinion. Venita I still like, although she makes mistakes. She's a human being. I don't just write people off because they make mistakes. And I don't think her mistakes are huge, like, life-defying mistakes. I feel like the things that Salley does is like trying to like disrupt people's lives. Like, that's kind of disgusting. Like, she wants to control those people. Molly's kind of like, I like her, but she's just, you know, not really into it. She just kind of does the bare minimum, I find. She doesn't really have a storyline. Whitney, I gotta give him props for trying to get involved. Again, it's based around literally this season, Craig and Austen. Like, if there were no Craig and Austen, I don't think there would be a show. I hear a lot of other podcasts say that Charlie's a bit vanilla, she's boring, etc., etc. I can see that. I find that when you look at her straight on, her face kind of tilts to the left-hand side. Do you guys notice that? And is that weird for me to say? I'm not saying she's ugly, but like there's a tilt in her head. And I find that, I'm starting to notice that's why she kind of does her hair a certain way to kind of balance out that tilt in her head, you know? Like she's always kind of like tilted to the left-hand side. It's just so interesting. I don't know if that's the way they like, you know? Maybe it's a nervous thing, you know? She's not as comfortable quite yet, but I really like the addition. I like the Whitner addition. I loved this Charlie addition to the cast. I don't like Salley. I think Salley needs to go. We definitely miss Madison, but she's kind of living out her life. So I don't know. To be honest, I don't know the future of Southern Charm, how it's going to play. Like, is it going to be just them bringing in bitches that they bang, like season after season, introducing them to the show? The girls have a storyline for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then brand new girls. Like, maybe there needs to be a bit of a shakeup, like bringing in a new cast, a new group of friends, not just people that are friends with Craig and Austen and Shep, but a completely new group of friends that know them, but they're also a big group of friends as well, like 2 or 3 people that are from the same group of friends, you know? That's just maybe a suggestion that I have. But other than that, I'm excited to see the season finale and see how that plays out. I don't think Craig is with Charlie at all, or perhaps maybe with somebody, because I haven't really heard him talk about anything, but and haven't seen it on socials, or maybe they just keep it hush hush, right? But yeah, that's it, you guys. Thank you, pursuers, for tuning in. I'm gonna come out with just because I have a Beverly Hills reunion recap, or sorry, Beverly Hills recap coming up. I'm gonna wait for another bunch more shows to be released, like Southern Charm and Summer House. I can probably do like 3 shows recap in one. Just go over kind of the main parts. Summer House is so good, you guys. Watch that one, it's so good. Summer House is good. Ladies of London I'm starting to like. And the Valley, regular Valley, should be coming out soon, as well as the Real Houses of Atlanta. So that's gonna be exciting. I love when the new shows come out. But thank you for listening, pursuers. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, rate, and review. You can follow me on Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you listen to your podcast. I just recently found out that I'm also on Podcast Addicts. Yay! Thank you to my followers on there. My subscribers, I should say. Feel free to read the show notes. All my socials are on there. My website, where you can leave a voice message if you have questions that you want to ask, if you want to give some feedback. I would love that. Other than that, have a great night, pursuers. Enjoy your Bravo shows, and I will see you next time.